Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy, Mark, and Burk, talking about trailers.
Our favorite.
Today, we're going to talk about a trailer.
We are?
For, yeah.
That's
For a
what
movie.
we do. That's
I
what
guess
we
for
do.
a movie this time.
Yeah, but when we talk about before we do that, let's talk about liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thanks very much for all the comments. We love it. Don't forget to like, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. There's lots of wonderful videos to check out. So there you go. Ooh, look at that. We doubled up.
And we have a lot of community action going on. So come in and join the conversation.
Absolutely. So yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah,
it's a good thing to do. But this film is something that's coming out in June of this year, and it's a biopic of the one and only Elvis Presley. It's called Elvis, a Baz Luhrmann film starring.
Wait, which Elvis is it?
It's Elvis Costello. It's all about the
Elvis Costello. It's about time he had a movie about him.
Yeah, they took over for the attractions. It's a whole long soap opera. No, it's of course Elvis Presley, and it stars Austin Butler as Elvis and Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Park. I think it seems like it's about their relationship. So a big budget bio thing. So let's take a look.
Hey, we haven't seen it yet. This is all fresh. Okay, you guys ready?
Yes.
2, 3, go.
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
Don't let a good thing die.
Are you born with destiny? Or does it just come knocking at your door?
He's a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee. Give him a warm hayride welcome, Mr. Elvis Presley.
Get a haircut, buttercup.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
You imagine how that probably blew people's minds.
Yeah. The pink outfit.
Yeah.
No.
And the
Another
crazy
world.
hair that must have been
Yeah.
crazy back then.
Yeah.
I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley. Are you ready to fly?
I'm ready. Ready to fly.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
I can't move. I can't
It's like real photographs there for a second.
Yeah.
They want to put me in jail. So I was moving.
They might put me in jail for walking across the street, but you're a famous white boy.
The way he sings is God-given, so there can't be nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's through the whole career, huh?
Yeah.
Tragedy, but it has nothing to do with us.
It has everything to do with us. Reverend once told me, when things are too dangerous to say, sing. I'm gonna be 40 soon, and nobody's gonna remember me. I need to get back to who I really am. And who are you, Oz? I just gotta be making the most of this thing while I can. This can all be over in a flash.
We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity. The greatest show on earth.
Elvis has left the building.
Wow.
Well-
So it's so sad to see the downfall of Elvis because he was so vital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know what happens. That's the
Yeah.
sad thing about just the whole story anyway.
Yeah.
He kind of, there was a few moments. I mean, I wasn't, Elvis is a little bit before my time, the prime of Elvis. But there were a few times when he kind of, stepped out of the world that he created or that he sort of popularized. The first time was when he, joined the army, and that was like, okay, that's not rock and roll.
Yeah.
And then he went to Hollywood,
Yeah.
and he started making those god awful movies that were for the most part pretty god awful, and the music in them was just not good. It wasn't good,
He was
It just
forced
wasn't
in,
good.
he was forced in
Yeah.
by Colonel Tom Parker to be this
Yeah.
movie star. And like the first movie, like Love Me Tender, was kind of like, it showed him as youthful and had some
Jailhouse
great
Rock,
songs.
and
all
Yeah.
that stuff. But then he started doing those, girls, 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 and clam bake.
and
And it was just like,
Kid Galahad.
and I'm sure they talk about that because that's when he became very unhappy. And then there was the
Yeah.
68 sort of comeback special with the black leather where he sort of, came back to, his roots and stuff. So,
Yeah.
And then the Las Vegas thing. I mean, that's the the whole idea. When anybody says somebody is going Vegas, they're talking about Elvis and how
Right.
he used to be this sort of down and dirty, gritty rockabilly rock and roll guy, and then he became this flashy, sequined, kung fu
cheesy
moves and the
right.
gold sunglasses and the sideburns, and that's a classic example of somebody going Vegas.
Yeah.
And he,
It's sad because he was such a ferocious talent. Like,
Yeah.
especially younger, it was so ballsy what he did. Like, and he's like when they show him on the stage and the dancing was really provocative and he was
Yeah.
getting all this controversy. I mean, that was really brave and insane, and he was so talented. But
Yeah.
when you see that kind of fading, when they have that one sequence where the sad song is on and you're just watching it going, this is so depressing.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
He had bad guidance, and I
Right.
guess
Yeah.
I hope they go into that with the Colonel Tom Parker character is like the devil. It's like, sell me your soul and I'll make you famous. But to me, there's a thing I have to say, a pet peeve, a thing that pops up in situations like this that I always have to consider. It's the fact that somebody like Elvis, the reason he was famous and the reason he's still famous and still, I mean, they're still making movies about him and people still like to think about him, read about him, is he had charisma. He had that magic that not everybody has. When he walked into a room, I was never in a room with Elvis, but when he walked into a room, I imagine it became an absolute different place, a different planet.
Right.
Because I was in a room once with James Brown and that happened. I always remember the feeling of like, wow, this is a person with charisma.
Yeah.
So how do you, and I imagine it was like that with David Bowie and, if other people like that.
people like
Sinatra,
that.
yeah. But Elvis had a charisma. He had that face, those eyes. And you can imagine being in front of Elvis, you'd probably be like, hello, Mr. Presley. And that is a thing that's really hard when you're making a movie about someone. You got to have an actor who has that or
It
who
seems
can
like this
portray
actor
that.
does. I was getting it from this actor. I thought he looked pretty great. Did you get it?
Yeah, I think, I don't know this actor too, which is kind of
I
interesting.
like that this kind of unknown because then he can disappear.
It's
Right,
hard. I mean,
that's
Elvis,
true.
right. I mean, I remember John Carpenter's when he did the Elvis miniseries, and it was Kurt Russell. And I thought
and Kurt Russell has charisma.
yeah, so it kind of worked. And sometimes it doesn't. Like some of these, especially these biopics of musicians, oh my God, that's way off, and it just kills the film. I mean, it just does.
Yeah.
So
a good example for me is when they got Andy Warhol is another one, and I think one of the great castings was when they got David Bowie to play Andy Warhol.
Didn't they get Crispin Glover to play Andy Warhol in a movie?
I think
forget what it was. That sort of worked because he's so weird.
Yeah, exactly.
But it has to be somebody that can portray that, that
Right.
like, that magnetism. What is it that Elvis had that made these people go crazy? And you've got to do that in your acting. You have to make it realistic that people would be screaming and losing their minds over you.
Right. Well, interesting you talk about the star power too, because I thought Tom Hanks seemed really distracting in this.
A little bit. Yeah.
I did not like it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll work in the context of the film, but in the trailer, I thought that was like jarring, and I didn't like the accent, whatever he was doing there, and I feel like if they had hired a bunch of actors, I get why they hired Tom Hanks because he's kind of the reason people are going to go besides being Elvis. I don't know if that's working, but we'll see.
Well, I get that too, and he's like the only big name. I look at the cat. There's nobody else that I really recognize. He's like the name, so obviously they brought him on because you need some star in here.
Right.
You know,
Right?
Yeah,
that's a great
And
role.
he's a big
for him.
Elvis fan too.
yeah,
And he's
so,
he's a hell of an actor. But I know it's
great
there's the
it was a little
the fat
distracting,
stuff.
right? The makeup
Yeah.
and everything. So
Right,
also,
right.
I have a poster. It's pretty
Belt
much it
buckle.
looks like I like that they didn't show the actor because that would be kind of distracting, you know. I think this is a really good solve because you're going to show he's sort of famous for those really ornate belts that he wore
Right.
later in his career. And so they have this really studded, really well produced, you know, Elvis belt, and it's iconic and you get it instantly and you just need his name. I mean,
It's got the TCB in the middle
TCB
there.
in the middle, which is
the little lightning
crowd.
bolt.
It's a cool logo, you know.
It's a pretty cool idea, and this has a building block on it, so this might be the final poster. They probably will have other ones, I'm guessing, just down the road, probably some character cells, but this is a really nice produced. Everything's gold, everything's kind of glitzy, but it's on black, which makes it seem like there's not only is it a little more glamorous, it also, you know, sport pretends like a little bit of ominous
Darkness.
yeah.
Nice.
So I like that. So I think that's a really nice poster because especially for a project like this with a big actor, and even though he's going to be unrecognizable, really, the fact you would show without people in it is such a hard one to push through.
Yeah.
So kudos whoever did that.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's a cool poster, and we'll see. You know, like biopics are tough. Like the Queen, like there's the Queen one and the Elton John one. Some of them work, some of them can be really terrible. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But you know, looks
right.
promising.
Now I have this music in my head all day.
Yeah.
All right.
Poor
Thanks very
Elvis.
much. Yeah,
I'm
I know.
really sad.
Well, thanks very much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always, and we'll see you soon. Bye.